All right,
Yeah.
we're going to go ahead and get to our last caller of the evening. We've got Kelly from Michigan wants to talk about stories of a haunted nightclub. Kelly, how are you doing?
Hi, Ethan. How are you?
Doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing great.
So you are on with Jim and Ethan. What do you got for us?
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Not too bad.
I worked in a nightclub many years ago in DeKalb, Illinois, just a little ways down the road from you, Ethan. And a woman had been killed in there in the 1980s. She had gotten cut and bled to death. And there were a lot of wild stories about her ghost there. And I had a few experiences, nothing that I could say made me believe that I had actually encountered a ghost. But there were a lot of weird things that happened while I was there that were just weird.
Could you give us
one thing
your
I can
most
think of right
compelling
off
one?
the bat is I'm sorry, go ahead, Ethan.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just pick out your most compelling one and let's talk about that.
It's hard for me to pick one that's really compelling because none of them. I'll tell you what. I was closing up one night and I was in the back room. I was locking up the night's till, and this room was one of the centers of the hauntings supposedly in the building. And as I was locking things up, the light behind me started to flicker, and I jokingly thought to myself, "Well, there's the ghost playing with the lights." And I walked back into the main bar room, and there was two people there, my wife and the bouncer that was working with me that night. And I said to him, "Hey, the ghost is in the back room playing with the lights." So they both jumped up to go over to the back room to see that happen. And it got about halfway there, and the door swung open by itself. And they both made immediate 90-degree turns toward the front door of the bar instead. It was pretty funny. I actually had a laugh. But if I had to say anything, that was probably the most compelling thing that I saw. But I wouldn't say that was proof of ghost either. So.
Okay, so it sounds like just electrical issues.
It could have been, and it could have been that I didn't close the door all the way when I came through it. You know, I mean, like I said, I'm a skeptic, so it's hard for me to say that I saw anything that was actually there. Now, I had a guy that came in with me one night, and I sent him down into that same room. We had the walk-in cooler, and I sent him down to the cooler to grab some 6-packs of beer for me. And he came back up immediately without them and asked me if the place was haunted. And I asked him why, and he told me he had just seen a blonde woman standing at the bar downstairs. And that was the description of the ghost. And so I told him, the story, and he came in and quit the next day. Now, I don't know how compelling that is. Again, it's not any proof of anything, but, it's just a weird story that of something that was happening there.
All right. So let me ask you this. If nobody had told you that somebody had died there, nobody had told you the place was haunted, what conclusions would you draw from your experiences?
From my experiences, I can figure out a natural explanation for everything that I personally experienced. So
if I could just rephrase, it sounds like that the only reason you're calling this bar haunted is because somebody told you, and then you had some odd experiences that you wouldn't otherwise think were even remotely related to supernatural. Would that be correct?
Right. Yes. When people, when you're sitting around late at night and you're having a couple of drinks and people mention ghost stories and stuff, I like to tell these stories because I did experience these things. But again, it was nothing that I really felt was really compelling or proof of any ghosts. But, there were fun stories. Ethan had mentioned it on Facebook earlier today when I said I worked in a quote unquote haunted nightclub. So I figured I'd go ahead and call in and give you some of the stories that I had while I worked there.
Yeah.
It was pretty much not pushed by the owner. He didn't want to be the haunted nightclub, but it was pretty much common knowledge amongst the people that went there or that were the regulars there anyway. So.
Right.
So I know, like, since you're not a believer, I don't have a whole lot of questions, but I know I've always been, like, one of the reasons I do this show is because I love talking about ghosts. It's fascinating. And I, at one point, was a believer. There is this place in Illinois, which people call it the most haunted cemetery in the country.
Bachelor's Grove.
Bachelor's Grove. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was about to say Buffalo Grove, but it's actually Bachelor's Grove. However, they don't let you in at nighttime, so I was only able to go during the day. And of course, the people I went with, they were standing over certain graves and just like, oh, I'm getting this energy from this, I'm getting this. And I, the whole time, was like, it's just cemetery. Like, I didn't, even though I was a believer at that point, I never really got those, like, I guess you could say I've had eerie vibes before, but I didn't have any vibes at that cemetery. I would love to go back at night. However, last I heard, I have yet to verify if this is true or not, but supposedly if you go there at night, you get arrested, just because so many people were constantly breaking in. So I need to look more into that because I would love to go at night. I know I have had a few ghost hunters agree to let me go on these investigations with them, but they always end up canceling or disappearing on me. And it's disappointing. It's like one of these times I would love for one of these ghost hunters to just be like, Ethan, I'm taking you. We're going to get this done. There's supposedly, I shouldn't say supposedly, there is this guy who is allegedly going to fly Dave Warnock to Illinois, and we're going to go with him and a camera crew. He is an atheist and a psychic, and he's going to take us to these different locations and prove that his ability and that there is like an afterlife and souls. But I won't know until I actually get until I actually go. And it looks like Jessica in the comments corrected me. You can totally still get in at night. Can you get in without getting in trouble? That's the question. If so, I would actually love to go at nighttime.
I don't think any charges will be pressed against you. I know I can't say that because I grew up down there. I have been in Bachelor's Grove many a night, and I never saw anything that made me think I was seeing a ghost down there either. So we scared a lot of other kids when we brought them in there, though. I can't say that.
That's always fun.
Did you have any last questions before we wrap up?
No.
All right. Well, Kelly, thank you for sitting on hold for that long, and thank you for taking the time to call in.
It was my pleasure.
And I hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I certainly did. Thanks a lot, Ethan. Thanks for having me on. It was good to talk to you again, Jim.
Good to talk to you.
Kelly.